Sports, and we're going to probably, let's get the recap first before we get into the doldrums, shall we? Gordon, how was your weekend? What sport did you get up to seeing?
Well, I actually went out and watched a bit of football on Saturday afternoon, Tom. I went to Carew, who had a terrific win in the West Wales Cup to reach the quarterfinals. They beat Wynalath Galaxy, or One Eyelid, as a lot of us say. They beat them 4-0, and they played really well. They were 2-0 up at half-time, and they scored 2 further goals in the second half to comfortably reach the quarterfinals. So that was a great result for them. And then I popped over to watch a bit of Division 1 football. Moncton were playing Kilgetty. Moncton were trailing 1-0 at half-time, having hit the crossbar twice. They were a bit frustrated by Kilgetty, but they came back in the second half and they actually won 3-1. And there was a cracking game down in Bush Camp, which I went down for the second half. Clarby Road were there playing Penna Robins. It was 4-1 at half-time to the Road. And then in the second half, the Robins mounted a bit of a comeback. It got to 4-3, and the Road then scored another goal to make it 5-3, and it ended up 6-3. So it was a high-scoring game down in Bush Camp, but good 3 points for Clarby, that.
Not bad at all. And we're going to look at some of the football later on in the show before 9 o'clock, but I'll turn my attention to Fraser Watson. Good evening, Fraser. How was your sporting weekend?
Could have been better, Tom. I worked till early afternoon Saturday and got off just in time to see Wales get obliterated and Swansea be 3-2 up after 89 minutes and lose 4-3. So I've had better Saturday nights mood-wise, but why don't you tell us about yours? You're the one playing.
Yeah.
But yes, I actually put my boots on. But Stephen's joined us here this evening. Stephen, what was your sporting highlight of the weekend? As I tell you of a tale of football from Division 5 in the Pembrokeshire League, where I had a phone call at 20 to 12. Good notice. Are you still registered? It's been that long since I last played for them. And ended up having a cracking time down in Broadhaven, representing the seconds there in the left back. And it looked like it was going to go a bit pear-shaped. It wasn't exactly the most confident of team talks when I turned up. Just don't get angry with each other. I don't care how many you concede. And we went 3-1 down and won 5-3.
Excellent.
Lucky charm here.
Never retired, mate. Never retired.
So if I'm a lucky charm for Broadhaven seconds, Fraser, I'll start with you. What lucky charm do Wales need in the rugby?
Look, you probably can't judge too much performance-wise. Obviously, the situation that the coaching staff, regardless that they've been there for 12 years previously, they've walked into a bit of mess. They've walked into chaotic. They've come in very late in the day in terms of this Six Nations. It was a very inept, certainly first half display, though. The selection did raise eyebrows for me. If you look at that 23, 8 involved who actually played in the 2012 Six Nations, it's one thing going to tried and tested, but I think it's naive to think that a lot of those players are going to still perform at that high level now. I think George North in the centre, for example, picking Alan Wyn-Jones again. No one's trying to tank the careers of what they've done for Wales, but I think they're negative selections, I'll be honest with you. I'm not sure what some of the elder players are really given at the moment. And look, Ireland blew us away in the first 10-20 minutes. It was so much more intense. It was so much more clinical. We did come back into it more in the second half, and the crowd got into a bit, which maybe salvaged the contents a little. But again, it was noticeable. Wales had chances, didn't take them. Ireland maybe had one chance in the opening half an hour of the second half, 10 minutes from time, and took it. So I thought, look, there was a bit of a mini revival. We did salvage it, the display as such, but we were soundly beaten and we were levels below them in reality, I thought.
Yeah, Gordon, what I just mentioned the experience there. When I was talking to Bill on Friday morning on the breakfast show, there was over 900 caps on that between the Welsh squad. There's a World Cup next year.
Very, very experienced team, you might say there. Yeah, I have to agree with Fraser. There's too many of those boys too long in the tooth now. It's a little bit sad that they are still playing at that level. But let's not take anything away from Ireland. They are number one in the world at the moment as well. Farrell has got them playing really well. They're very strong and they're clinical as well, Fraser. They showed that in the first half, 27-3 up at half time. It's always a mountain to climb then. Wales did play a little bit better in the second half, and Liam Williams got a yellow carded, which was disappointing with 15 minutes to go. But we got a nice easy trip to Scotland this week to Murrayfield, so I'm sure we'll have a warm welcome up there.
Yeah.
Let's be fair, Scotland had a terrific win in Twickenham as well. England aren't firing on all cylinders. And even on Sunday, Fraser, I thought that Italy played really well against France, who are the Grand Slam champions. And they only lost by a few points in the end. And had they cut out their early errors, gifting France 14 points, I would say, they could have won that game. And Wales have to go to Italy.
Yeah, but we're away to all the blue shirts. Now, Fraser, I've seen one headline, I think it was Sam Orbson actually, we need to rip up the team selection and start afresh. Would that be too brash, too bold?
No, I don't think so. I don't see the benefit in playing a lot of these. You can use the word experience, but it's all well and good being experienced. You still got to be able to perform highly at that level, no matter how experienced you are. There is youth players there. There is potential. We saw flashes from Rio Dyer, for example, on Saturday. In a World Cup year, which is essentially a shot to nothing, with what Gatland's walked into and what everything else is going on in the background as well, I don't think it's going to do any harm to take a risk, so to speak, and field inexperience and field players who, potential and are going to produce in the future. I think it's a recipe for disaster if we go in just on experience alone and past form alone and continue that now for the next 6 months through to France.
Yeah. Do you think that Warren Gatland played it extra safe because up until the last couple of weeks the regions hadn't been producing high caliber talent, whether that was Wayne Pivac not being able to nurture them in the international setup, but is there depth in that youth to bring them up? I know that Jack Morgan was playing. Who else are there? And Hawkins as well in the centre. Who else would you be putting in those positions?
Tommy Reffell being on the bench was a waste, to be honest. Him and Jack Morgan have been the two outstanding back row players at club level in Wales this year, or out of the Welsh play. But I know, again, you're talking Toby Faletau, you're talking Justin Tipper, you're talking world-class performers for Wales over a long time, but the brutal fact is Reffell has outperformed Tipper at club level so far this season, and I'd like to think he's got the strength of conviction to go with someone like Reffell now this Saturday. Faletau also was poor, I thought, uncharacteristic of him, but you are talking, again, a man who's been around a long time and a lot of injury problems now, and whether he can do it week in, week out to the levels he has is very doubtful as well. So the immediate answer to what you say there is certainly Tommy Reffell is one I'd be bringing in. I'd stick with Rio Dyer. I think he showed enough to show he can be exciting, a little bit raw maybe. Panicked a bit hacking that ball forward in the first half, didn't he, Gord? But yeah, no, I do think ripping up team selection, whether that's the right term, I don't know, but certainly a drastic rethink of it.
Yeah, well, we do realise, Fraser, Gatland doesn't change his side that often. There will be changes, but I don't think it will be as many as we would hope to have. He'll still go with his tried and tested. I think Faletau will still keep his place. Everybody has a bad game now and again. He didn't have one of his better games, I agree with you. Reffell, perhaps he will get his opportunity in the back row, which would be good to see.
I hope so.
Front row, Ken Owens. I heard the line-out didn't function as well as it could have. But is that down to Jonathan Thomas? Should we give him a benefit?
Collision coach, he told me, so we can't blame the line-out.
I'm not doing the line-out. Yeah. International rugby is hard, boys. Anything can happen on the day, and Wales can go to Scotland and they can get a result, but it's an uphill task.
It would be peak Scotland to go to Twickenham and win, and then be hot favourites at home to us and Murrayfield and lose, mind you.
Which, let's be honest, is kind of what their season was last Six Nations, wasn't it? Scotland performed very well in matches where you didn't expect them to, and then just ended up being, I think you said at the end of the tournament, probably disappointed with where they finished.
They're a lot better when they go into the radar, Scotland. They seem to be that's against the grain thing. But look, wonderful game to watch, that one, and that Vander made a try as well.
Incredible.
And Gordon will appreciate this as well. I know it's the classy bit at the end, the subtle change the ball into the other hand so we could fend off. So much harder skill than it looks like. And just power, pace, it was tremendous try.
Yeah, the awareness to first of all see that gap, run into the space, and he didn't even look for cover. He knew that he was going to that line, and as you say, that deft change of the hands, fending off number 8. You think he's going to drag him down, but he's just so powerful.
Strong lad, isn't he? Yeah.
Well, he nearly got a breakaway try against Wales, didn't he? It was the ankle tap that took him down, which salvaged something for Wales, if my memory serves me correctly. Italy then, Gordon, you've mentioned them just a moment ago.
Yeah.
They weren't many points off beating the Grand Slam champions.
No, young Barney from Pembrokeshire played well at scrum half, even though he did have an early kick charge down. We'll have to mention that. Sorry, Steve, but yeah, that was just one of the errors that I mentioned earlier. But Dupont at 9 for France, and Nutamac, is how you pronounce it? At fly half. They're lovely players. They create so much as well if you give them space. There was one lovely crossfield kick that he gave to the winger. It was
on his debut,
perfect,
yeah,
right in the basket when he ran onto it. They can do that. The French, they have that in their locker. It was interesting to listen to Sean Edwards after the game, the former Wales defence coach.
Yeah, he wasn't happy.
Not happy at all. It's one of the worst defensive displays France have ever put in under his watch.
Yeah.
And I can tell you now that will be sorted out for the next game. But yeah, France are the team to beat. Italy have improved. We were calling for them to possibly play in a playoff, but they're justifying being in the Six Nations at the moment, to be fair.
In fairness, and I was one, I kind of get sceptical when you looked at their run of results. I thought it was almost inconceivable it could turn on, but they did go to youth, that they completely ripped at the scrap back, and they almost sacrificed a couple of years worth of results and performances, to be honest. It was dire, and eventually now it has come to fruition, and we saw it towards the end of last year and started it this year, so good for them and the championship.
Great for the championship.
That's brilliant. What I like about that is that they were very open about the fact that we are rebuilding, and it's been a rebuild for the last probably 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, they have
back in it as well. So it's great that they're getting some extra. They had wins in the autumn. There's momentum.
They can play. They can play as well.
They can definitely play.
They used to be very forward orientated and try and grind you down and defend and spoil things, but they've got good runners out wide.
Yeah,
they're back 3 wingers and fullbacks.
The fullback is an excellent player.
Yes,
very elusive.
Well, he embarrassed Josh Adams, didn't he? And tried getting his man of the match medal back. But you mentioned there about France playing in open play. One of the tries that I saw was in the 5-metre channel. A breakaway down the line, and just support runners, just no panic, just able to pass, just knowing where each other are.
Yeah,
French have got that in their locker now, haven't they? I think they were a bit off yesterday, but they'll be fine.
It is the first game.
Colossal game this week, Ireland, France.
Huge game, isn't it? Huge.
What do you think is going to? How do you see that game playing out?
Ireland, France.
Yeah.
I mean, it goes without saying, as with any game with Ireland, and obviously Sean over to France, the breakdown will be colossal. I think the physicality there it'll be huge. I can see it being tight. I know might take a bit of heart seeing how erratic France were yesterday, but I expect a better French side to go to Dublin. To be honest, I think it'd be very close. I think we did a close game with last year as well. Gordon said it is a huge clash. It's potentially, you want to talk about this in a second. Again, it's potentially tournament defining. Ireland's still well oiled. Sexton's still running shows with them as well. So,
I think home advantage is a big thing in Six Nations, especially with the top sides as well. So, I think Ireland could actually edge it on Saturday, to be honest.
So by 4 o'clock Saturday, championship could be over.
God, could you imagine?
Yeah.
And we head up to Scotland. Gordon, how do you see that one playing?
Murrayfield, we've done quite well there in the past, but Sean Holly was only saying on this programme the first game is so important, and unfortunately Wales didn't get the win, so it's going to put them under pressure going to Scotland, who won at Twickenham for the second time in 3 years. They hadn't won at Twickenham before, though, about 20 odd years, but they've now won twice there. So to win the Calcutta Cup on Saturday as well, they're going to be in let's put it, confident mood. They'll be looking forward to Wales coming up there.
And Wales will
it's
not.
Huge.
Go on. Wales got nothing to lose.
It's a huge day for Scotland now, because they're flat to deceive a lot of times on championships, having started with good wins for Townsend, and they've never taken the step into consistently doing it. And having won at Twickenham, they have a big chance to have a big say in the outcome of this championship. They're looking 2 from 2, and it's where they've come unstuck in the past. It's when there's been big expectation on them, and you expect them to push on. They haven't done it, so it's actually a big game for Towns on Saturday. Even more pressure on him after winning Twickenham. Even,
I think so.
Yeah.
Well, if you're watching, listening, then please do get in touch. We're live on our social media channels at the moment, so you can drop us a comment on any of the videos. We're on Facebook, YouTube and Twitter, or you can WhatsApp me 01437 764455. We'll share your questions with the team here. We're going to take a moment now because the chairman of Haverfordwest County is waiting in the wings, so we're going to find out about the January transfers, about phase 2 and the rest of the season with the chairman. So don't go anywhere. You're listening to the Pure Sports Show with Eaton-Evans and Morris Solicitors.
Eaton-Evans and Morris Solicitors have traditional values, but